On the news at 1, Vice President Shettima to represent President Tinubu at G77 Summit in Havana, Cuba. Secretary, Area Council Services Beatrice Lawrence Garki receives rousing reception by FCT indigenous youth. And correspondent x-rays possibility of health as economic value of family planning. Good afternoon. This is the news at 1 on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. My name is Aisha Obaali. Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja to represent President Bola Tinubu at the G77 China Leaders Summit in Havana, Cuba from 15th to addressing challenges facing the development of the member states, leveraging science, technology, and innovation to enhance socio-economic growth. Also, the Vice President Shettima will, on the sidelines of the summit, hold bilateral meetings with other world leaders to promote Nigeria's trade and investment relations in line with the economic development diplomacy of the Tinubu administration. The Havana Summit is being hosted by the President of the Republic of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel, in his capacity as chairman of the G77 and China under the theme Current Development Challenges, the Role of Science, Technology, and Innovation. Nigeria is a founding member of the G77 group, which was established in 1964 by 77 developing countries. And back home, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has released his roadmap for actualizing the renewed hope mantra of President Bola Tinubu in the nation's capital. This was during the oath-taking and swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed FCT
Satellite Town Development and Transportation. It tasked the mandate secretaries who are the implementers of his policies on
of administration. As mandate secretaries, your role in this journey of transformation is very pivotal. You are not only advisors, but also leaders and implementers of our policies.
Nyesom Wike further asked that his mission is to rebuild and develop FCT into becoming a world-class capital territory comparable to other developed cities of the world. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, indeed, excited indigenous youth of the Federal Capital Territory on Tuesday gave their own FCT territory.
Many well-wishers who spoke commended President Bola Tinubu and the FCT minister.
FCT people in us, and they give us the mandate. Now we are represented in the Federal Executive Council. Now we will also be represented in FCT Executive Council meeting. So the FCT people will have no reason not to thank Mr. President.
I'm so happy and I'm so excited about it. Not only for Lawrence, but the indigenes of FCT.
Chip tussle between members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers and the FCT is yet to be over. And this development Tuesday morning led to a chaotic situation at the Sapele Street along the Ladoke Akintola crescent of Gariki 2 in Abuja. The result of this is that 2 lives were allegedly lost as a result of the factional fights between members of the union. And the aftermath of that situation, security agencies in the Federal Capital Territory have made appropriate deployments to ensure that normalcy is returned to the streets of Gariki. In fact, to my right is the Gariki Modern Market, which is about 300 meters away from the point of the fracas. Life has returned. Street traders are back on the streets doing their legitimate businesses, and residents of Gariki area are going about their businesses. As at the time of our visit to this location, there has been no official statement either from the union or state authorities to ascertain what led to today's fracas between members of the union. From Garki, Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Still on security, a total of 496 hoodlums have been apprehended within the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, with some being prosecuted. The Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations, FCT Command Modi Magawata, revealed this during his live appearance on the show called The Police. Francis Kabile monitored the program and now reports.
Last week, the FCT Police Command paraded 19 suspects arrested for various criminal offences across the nation's capital. Among these suspects is a couple specialized in snatching of phones at bus stops and using SIM cards from such phones to empty victims' bank accounts. 5 others were apprehended for driving vehicles with foreign number plates. In view of this, the Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations, FCT Command, Mode Magawata, gave a general overview of security challenges in the nation's capital.
From what I heard, the passengers are looking cheap, motorists. Like if you go to the bus, that is the bus stop, it's 200 naira. Maybe 200 naira from the area 1 to Julius Baja. But if you go front, maybe after, because why they were charging maybe 200 naira, it was because, you know, the stipend from the road transport workers, you know, because they are always around them. Because when you pick passengers 103, definitely you drop. That is within the bus stop. But when you move ahead after the bus stop, you pick the passenger, you won't pay cover. So maybe they are using that opportunity because the bus stop is 200, while when you go front, it's 100 naira. They can attest because definitely because they were asked questions. That was just it. Because they will take 100 naira, but not knowing those people, they are not motorists, they are wenchers. And they are always using that opportunity to rob people. We cannot eliminate crime. But what we are doing, we are trying to reduce it to the minimums. Yeah.
Magawata advised that given that security is everyone's business, members of the public should report every criminal act to the police. In Abuja, Francis.
And now to education. The Permanent Secretary of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Olishade Adeshola, has warned school principals and head teachers not to patronize or get involved in any form of book piracy. Aisha Bashir reports that he disclosed this at the 28th Annual Education Resource Center Book Fair in Abuja.
Drawing attention to the problem of book piracy and the harm it poses to educational advancement, Permanent Secretary of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Olushola Adeshola, said piracy shortchanges and writers of their rewards and exclusive intellectual property rights.
In spite of information technology in the form of e-books and online information, books and other written materials still retain their prime position as sources of information, which all students should have.
While noting that there is a sharp decline in the reading culture in Nigeria, other speakers emphasized an urgent need to revive and sustain the tempo of reading among the populace. Earlier, the director of ERC, Ni'imat Abdurrahim, said they organized the fair to enable parents, guidance, proprietors, readers and others to have access to recommended books.
All books that are being used in the school system to see that we minimize pirated books slipping into our system in the education.
To see the book on wheels that will also go around secondary school to encourage readership. So we'll continue to emphasize and discuss and engage the youth to becoming readers if they want to actually become leaders.
Others commended the ERC for sustaining what originally started as in-house but had metamorphosed into Aisha Bashir, NTA News.
You're watching the 1 p.m. news on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, and still to come on the news. Correspondent x-rays the possibility of health as economic value of family planning. These and more in just a moment.
Good evening. Glad to have you join us.
Thanks for joining us on Weekly News Wrap.
Thank you very much for having me.
And it is on that note we welcome you to today's edition of the program.
We celebrate creativity, lasting impressions.
There's no book stating that this is the role for men.
On the news.
On the news at 7.
Jama'a barkamu da wannan
The Unity Station, NTA Channel 5, Abuja.
Would say have a lovely day.
Thanks for staying tuned. The lack of well-constructed bus stops in designated areas of the Federal Capital Territory has been a challenge to residents and motorists. The deficiency is responsible for indiscriminate parking by commercial drivers in a bid to pick and drop passengers. Asaba Williams in this situation report looks at the absence of this basic infrastructure and its effect on traffic rules and regulations.
From Area 1 to Nyanya Karo access, there are hardly bus stops. Even the ones built by corporate organizations are either wearing out because of poor maintenance or are not being utilized.
Not having a proper bus stop is not.
Also, when it rains, water streams in from the roof and from all sides, making it wet and uncomfortable for commuters, some who take shelter in automated teller machines points.
Even 2 days ago, I was going towards this direction, Kurudo. There was rain and you have to look for somewhere to hide. We really need bus stops around here. Proper bus stop, the one that is built, the shelter where people can run into when rain is falling.
Remember starting I was going to interview, rain now spoiled my work. I will not be able to go to the interview again. And I have to wait for the rain to stop. Government should do a proper bus stop for every location. Like every bus stop, there will be a proper bus stop. Like this place now, there is no anywhere. In fact, in Abuja, there is no any bus stop that you rain for. You run and hide, except some places there.
FCT residents are calling for urgent government attention to repair existing bus stops. Asaba Williams.
The rainy season brings relief from the scorching heat of the dry season, aside its need for agricultural use for food sufficiency. This period, though refreshing, it also poses certain health risks, tells health experts. Hakim Ataliu in this report examines some common ailments associated with the rainy season.
Season, as mostly cold, is the time of the year when most of a region's annual rainfall occurs. The season has its highs and lows, but a fact, however, that cannot be overlooked is that the rains brings in a host of infectious diseases.
Usually you have variation in temperature. At times it could be as cold as, maybe 20 or...
Cold and other allergies, asthma and pneumonia are easily triggered during this season, and it's not the best weather condition for sufferers of sickle cell anemia.
Because of drop in temperature. So cold weather tends to aggravate asthmatic attacks in some individuals. Then we also have high prevalence of chest infection like community-acquired pneumonia because of cold. This has to do with upper respiratory tract infection, like I said, common cold, and give you pneumonia. You have increased flooding, increased clogging of waterways. You don't have a lot of stagnant water in pockets. This helps to breed a lot of insects, especially mosquito. So we tend to have mosquito-associated diseases increase.
With the rains, for people to take necessary precautions to protect themselves and prevent illnesses related to the season. Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
Still on health, according to World Health